This is an HP Pavilion 400 desktop computer from 2002, when Windows XP was brand new. This machine is nearly identical to the one my family had back then, from 2002 to circa 2010. However, we'll save the nostalgia project for another video. Today, let's do an experiment on it. The 2002 HP Pavilion we had back then was model 431, while this one is model 404. Yeah, you can joke about not found. 431 is actually another HTTP status code. Request header fields too large. Bet you didn't know that. Neither did I until writing the script for this video. Anyway, these two HP Pavilions are very similar in looks and hardware. They both have AMD Athlon XP processors. Ours had a slightly lower clock speed, but that's a minor difference. The major difference is the memory. While both machines originally had 256 megabytes, which was a decent amount back then, this one was upgraded by its previous owner to 512 megabytes. And that brings me to the topic of this video. In 2008, we replaced our 2002 Pavilion with a new one that came with Windows Vista. That allowed me to run OS experiments on this older one, though they were short-lived because of the limited hardware and my limited knowledge, and because that computer stopped working 2 years later. One of these experiments was Vista itself. I really wanted to install it on here to see how it would compare to the newer computer, but couldn't because it required at least half a gig of RAM, and back then I was too young to go on eBay and buy components. I did mess with Vista on my 2005 Acer laptop then, but now that I have this 2002 desktop with enough RAM, I can finally try Vista on it 16 years later, and you can see another example of why Vista was hated so much when it first came out. Oh, and for maximum risk, we're gonna install the first RTM version of Vista, with no service packs. It's like being in 2007 again. This Philips LCD monitor is also from that year, also bought brand new then and still working today.
The OS took less than half an hour to install, but the final result is quite sluggish.
Another thing I realized recently is the deceptive practice AMD had in naming their CPUs. This is an AMD Athlon XP 2000 Plus, which may make you think it runs at 2000 MHz or 2 GHz. But good guy HP made the clock speed very clear in this sticker, so there's no confusion. This was back when clock speed was still relevant. Nowadays, unless you've got something like this 1.0 GHz AMD E1 laptop, that's over 10 years newer than that Athlon XP, it hardly means anything.
Surprisingly, this Vista installation comes with all the drivers for this machine. However, these integrated S3 graphics don't support Windows at all.
I wanted to run a benchmark with Passmark performance test, but it just crashes, even an older version. It probably requires some newer CPU instructions, like SSE2. It doesn't matter that it's got 3D now! I couldn't get Macrium Reflect to run either, which is the backup tool I use with all my newer computers, even ones from 2005. And if you were curious, Windows 7 works on the Athlon XP as well, but the Windows Experience Index crashes for some reason, even after installing drivers, and is still pretty slow like Vista. Windows 8 or 10 32-bit won't work at all, because the processor obviously doesn't support no execute, and those OSs need more RAM anyway. On the other end, older OSs like Windows 98 and Millennium run great on this Athlon XP. That's not what I got this computer for, but I couldn't help but try it out. We've seen computers that are pretty versatile running Windows XP to 11, but this older one can run Windows 98 to 7, and all it needed was a RAM upgrade. Thank you for watching.